Of course, you got to get the eye candy in here. Look at this guy. Oh. Rattlesnake TV. Let's see now. Oops. She can kill with her smile. She can wound with her eyes. If I have my other hand here, we could probably do that. She can ruin your faith with her casual. Whatever. Good song, though. Hello, everyone. Where the hell is Easter Sunday? Free concert. Oh my God. Well, let's change that. Here we go. Got something else? Yes, we do. I'm trying to figure that out. See if I can find this fucking thing. Overdrive. Perfect. Rattlesnake TV. And yes, trigonometry. I had to drag myself in here to do this because I didn't want to do it. I want to go to bed
with you. So now,
and I want to eat. And I want to go to bed, but I'm here.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Is you said in the blurb for your book that you're not anti-woke.
Now, what do we have here? Well, we got a woman who believes in her, opinions. That's perfectly fine. You believe in the evil patriarchy and the evil whatever, and Constantine is a Jew, and so okay. So where are we going with this? Can we get to breastfeeding cats?
I don't think I would have. Oh. Did I say anti-woke? I don't think I would have used the word woke, but maybe I did.
It says in the blurb of the book, but we. I guess
I'm definitely not anti-woke. No.
Yes.
But
what I was going to ask you is why is that?
Excuse me.
Why aren't you anti?
Excuse me. This looks like a nice middle-aged, cat woman, wine aunt or whatever. I'm sure she's a nice person. She just kind of has a little bit of schmetzin up in the kump. Up in the kumpy. Yeah, something wrong there. Because here we go. Let's see if we can find something else. See, this woman here, she believes in 2025, current year, today, that she does not have the same rights under the law as men. So that's the feminist mantra, is it? And they have to hold on to it, or else they got no cause, don't they? I'm not ripping her apart here. That sounds like Paul McCartney. Wonderful Christmas time. They have to believe this. They can't back out from it. So, of course, unoppressed and the same rights. When the revolution has passed them by. Already fixed it. Done. It's not enough, though, is it?
Anti-woke.
Well, I think, what does woke mean to you? That's my question.
Good song, though. Right here, right. Remember that? Jesus Jones? Remember that? Yeah, good song. Right here, right now. Good to
But all the
know.
very things
Yeah.
that you said are the reason you wrote your book.
All the very things she said. What did she say? What is she fighting about? What is the revolution all about for this woman? Anyone have any idea? Freedom fighters here. Hello, Freedom. Good to see you. All right, let's listen to. I mean, it goes on for a long time, so I don't know if we're going to make the whole thing.
The reason that
Although I do have like 5 beers in the thing.
people would say we're anti-woke, I'm certainly anti-woke, I have no issue describing it, is I'm anti the, oh, you used this wrong phrase, oh, you made fun of this thing that I don't like, oh, you're not sufficiently inclusive of this, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. Oh, you know, you're a man, you need to be quiet while other people talk, all of this stuff.
Yes, this is why I switched to injection-free weight loss.
I was eating healthy, working out every day, and nothing would budge. I've lost, I think, 22 or 23 pounds at this point.
I noticed that my weight was really starting.
I reject this entirely. I reject the identity politics of it. I reject the censorship aspect of it. I reject the obsession with victimhood, which I think is damaging, and it's making.
Yeah, well, they have to be victims or else they don't have a cause. Come on now, Constantine. You know that.
People into victims. That's what I mean by woke, and that's what I'm against. So
I think the reason I would describe myself as not anti-woke is because I think what a lot of people mean by woke, and it's a soup, it's a rich soup. So you can take out certain things.
But I like soup. Don't slam my soupy. Oh my God. Hello, Nello Wolf. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Okay. Except for the singing, although it wasn't too bad. I feel with their smile. Let's go back to this unhinged feminazi.
And go, that's woke. But I think a lot of people see it and go, well, woke is, an idea about gender or an idea about
and the idea is wrong.
Feminism that I haven't fully explored. It just sounds new, or it just sounds, like something that I don't have any particular knowledge of or empathy for.
Now, sweetheart, you look like you're second wave. Back in the day, sweetheart, ma'am, no offense to you. No offense. Not at all. Back in the day, maybe when, you wore short pants back in 1973, there were some things to fight for, right? Women didn't have the full rights as men. They didn't get the bank accounts. We all know the fucking litany of bullshit. A lot of it was, but okay. So men and women didn't have the same rights under the law. We have fixed that 50 years ago. So exactly what are you crying about now? Is it I don't know. We're going to find out.
So that goes in the woke basket because it's new.
I don't think your characterization is quite accurate. I don't think most people's view of what woke is this thing that they don't understand. But
they're still on woke. No, we understand it. And we understand it's also called Marxism. Divide and conquer, boys.
Because it's new, they don't like it. It's more like suddenly we all have to pretend that if you say something about your identity, now it's true. Like if I say I'm a woman, I become a woman in that moment.
Of course. Even though the Supreme Court apparently in England said, nope, that is not the case. But thank you for playing. Satnar's here. Oh my God. This is the best channel in the world. We're tackling the complex topics here. So glad to see you guys. I really appreciate it. Anyway, here's let's continue with this shit.
And a lot of people don't dislike that because it's new. A lot of people don't dislike that because they think it's factually inaccurate.
It is, in other words, bullshit. Thank you, Constantine.
Sure. Well, that's a very, very big subject. And there's a very, very big, chunky chapter on that in my book.
Good. Yeah, well, go buy her book, whatever it's called. Links in the description.
It's like that because it's new. A lot of people don't dislike that because they think it's factually inaccurate.
Sure. Well, that's a very, very big subject. And there's a very, very big, chunky chapter on that in my book.
I mean, that's great, but tell us exactly. You're a feminist, you're a radical feminist, whatever you are, ma'am. Could you tell us exactly what you are fighting for? what exactly, what are the rights women don't have that men do in the West? Curious.
And I think that's something that,
What's your argument on that?
What I'm doing is, first of all, looking at how the brain works.
Okay.
And why our brain is sort of a prediction machine. It's the autocomplete on your phone, really.
Okay. Yes.
It's always going through the world, and it's looking for things that aren't as the brain would expect them to be.
You got to wait for the Aboriginal stuff, guys. Got to be about 10 minutes. But can you say batshit? Yes.
So if you got on a bus and the bus driver was dressed like a clown, you would double take. Now, there's no reason to suspect that clown is going to...
I would probably say look, it's my boss. Driving the bus.
Hurt you, or that there's nothing pejorative about the bus driver being dressed like a clown, but you would notice. If you got on the bus driver was dressed as a bus driver, you probably wouldn't notice the bus driver at all. If you're in London where you get on buses and you don't say anything to the bus driver, there's so many people.
Yeah.
And someone said later, who was the bus driver? What'd they look like? You probably wouldn't know. But as soon as they're dressed like a clown, your brain goes, what? I've got questions. I
understand what you're saying. Is we've been programmed to expect certain things in society, right? We're programmed to expect women to look like women. I get it. No, she's not wrong yet. But oh my God, is it coming?
30% of bus drivers dressed like clowns for a year, you would stop noticing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would, no.
You say what?
Dressed like clowns for a year. What? I've got questions. If 30% of bus drivers dressed like clowns for a year, you would stop noticing.
I don't think I would, no.
You
I would continue to notice that they're dressed like
for
clowns.
how long?
For forever.
For all eternity, because I know what a bus driver is supposed to look like.
And here's her point. Go ahead.
Interesting. Yeah. So your brain works different from other human beings then in that case.
Oh, he's Jewish.
Well, if we accept your premise,
it's coming up,
people's
guys.
brains work, yes. But
okay.
My assertion to you is that a lot of people have a standard that they expect, that they learn at a...
I mean, if you want to see the entire thing without me barking, the link is in the description. Go there and enjoy it.
Certain point, and they don't stop noticing things being different to that. Like if everybody started walking around naked, I wouldn't at one point go, actually, I don't remember a time when nobody... You see what I mean?
So she really thought there that she had a point with the clown bus drivers, which is absolutely hilarious. And then she tries to gaslight Constantine into saying, well, that's because you're just different to the rest of the population.
Interesting. Yeah. So your brain works different from other human beings then in that case.
And on the topic of gaslighting, this woman is a master of that. And we're going to point out all of the occasions where she does it. But yes, I agree with Constantine. If 30% of bus drivers started dressing as clowns for no particular reason, yeah, I would notice, and I would continue noticing, and it would continue to make me very uncomfortable as long as it happened. But what she's trying to do here is make a point about culture and say that the only reason that we are not comfortable with seeing men in women's change rooms and men in women's sport and men in dresses walking around the street or men in dresses teaching your children is because it's something new and we're going to adapt to it over time. Just give it some time and everybody will get used to it. Doesn't really look...
Maybe it's because it's not normal. I mean, if a person wants to, dress up, I don't care. So, does anyone understand the crux of the issue? You want to dress like you like and you want to do your thing in your life, God bless you, go for it. But when you impose your thing, whether it's whatever you have or Christianity or whatever, nobody likes the imposition. Do your thing, keep it to yourself. Don't tell me I got to be a Latter-day Saints person or whatever. Do your thing and don't expect society to change for 0.0001% of people. I'm terribly sorry. That's not the way this works. But go ahead.
Look like that is what's happening. How about this analogy? I prefer this analogy. If 30% of bus drivers started telling your kids that they can transition to be the opposite sex, or if 30% of bus drivers started wearing BDSM on the school bus. After a while, would you stop noticing? Actually, no. I think that as long as that sort of thing happened, parents and their baseball bats would continue to notice. Now on to
Indeed.
the next part, where she tries to give the argument that the ancient people were transgender and that the ancient people were non-binary.
So,
and here we go. You guys are waiting for this. I told you. Here it was coming. And now it's here. Look at this fucking bullshit.
What we have to do then is look at, is there any history of transgenderism throughout the ages? And I looked into this because I looked at indigenous societies, and
she's real big on indigenous societies. Well, there's a reason why many of them don't exist anymore. I'm just saying. Oh, it's evil whitey. Wasn't it?
I thought, well, there will be some, people fear what's different.
Oddly, they don't really care about the evil yellow man from Mongolia or the other people who took over vast swathes. Is that what they say? Swathes of Europe? No. It's only white Christians that she has a problem with. Anyone?
So there will be indigenous societies where there weren't transgender people accepted. And I looked and I could not find any. It was completely normal in most societies for this.
Yeah, well, if you don't look hard enough, you can't find
to be not a binary thing.
Geez, I can't see any empty beers in my house. And I look around, it's like, well, if I don't look for them, I can't find them. What are you saying?
For it not to be male and female, but for it to be more like a scale. So if you walk past a building and, a bar, and someone says, is it loud in there? You understand that person is saying, yes, it is loud in there, but they mean loud for them, because there's loud and there's soft, there's high and there's low. There's young and there's old. We're all old to someone and we're all young to someone, right? We're all old to a 7-year-old. We're all young to an 80-year-old.
There's sure.
Right? So there's very few things where we go, it's this or it's that. You might have heard of the American Two-Spirit people and a Native American Two-Spirit.
So what was that? I'm sorry. Two-Spirit. Okay. Great. Hey, if they want to be Two-Spirit, I have no problem with that. Go. Have a day. But these folks, including this woman here, wants to change the entire society for a 0.00001 10 people. They want to burn down the society. Do you not see how this is working? If I can find one thing to destroy the society because I'm a communist.
You guys said that?
Yeah.
That was created like around in the 90s at a conference, an LGBTQ plus conference, when indigenous people, Native American people were like, we have to explain it to the Westerners because they keep using it was like a sort of slur for indigenous.
Well, of course it was, because white people.
Queer people, that was often used.
I've never called a queer person a slur in my life. What are you talking about, woman?
And they said, right, they see it as this and that. So let's say we're two. So whenever you hear that third gender in indigenous spaces, it's not really, that's done through a Western framework of two and therefore a third. But if you talk to people in indigenous cultures, it's like it's not a third for us because it's more like a piano scale.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm sure the indigenous people had some ideas. And there's a reason why these, we're going to get to that here shortly. Now, it used to be among the Inuit up in Canada and Greenland, some of the northern places where these folks lived, that they would allow you to fuck their wives. Does that sound like a good thing? Maybe for the women. I don't know. I wouldn't like that.
So just before we get into the back and forth about this, she's trying to be super duper intellectual about this. Like, she's looking at it.
Oh, but there's the substance of the thing. And I've got the bibliography.
From the roots of civilization.
Excuse me. Bibliography. Isn't that a Greek word? Shouldn't refer to that because that was white people.
And just from a different level of analysis of human beings and culture. This must just be a part of human nature because she found some indigenous cultures that said that they were two-spirit. And she speaks about indigenous Americans like they are a monolith because some modern indigenous people at a conference in the 90s said that this was the case. But the fact is that there were hundreds and hundreds of different indigenous American tribes.
Yeah, they treat them as one block because that's the way it is. They treat all black people as the same. In the case of the Democrats and the lefties, they're all thugs and drug dealers and scumbags. God damn it. Will black people suddenly understand what's going on here? I hope so, because they are treating you like slaves in 2025.
Tribes that we know of, probably way more. And it's actually so insulting to use them to try and substantiate your modern queer theory. The Aztec society was gendered from birth. From the moment a child was born, their gender determined their social expectations. Boys were associated with warfare, public life, and agriculture, and girls were associated with domestic roles, weaving, food preparation, and family care. The point
is because we all had to work together to survive. It's not that hard, is it? No, it's not.
She's trying to make being that if you take away modern civilization and Abrahamic religions, you get societies that believe in some form of androgyny is just the opposite of the truth. This shit only happens in these modern, urbanized Western cultures.
Don't worry, she'll go after the Christians here shortly. Don't worry about it.
The more primitive a society is,
not any other religion. Oh no, just the evil Christian.
The more likely they are to have very, very rigid gender roles because they need it for survival. Let's carry on.
I see what you mean, but I don't agree. And the reason is that I'm not a Western person by birth, and Francis has experiences of outside. And the idea that
Constantine was born in Russia, and shit.
Male and female are Western categories. Just...
And the other guy, this guy here, Venezuela. So no, not big white countries.
It's not true. In fact, I would
not just Western, but you see what I mean about indigenous societies.
Yes, but indigenous societies are like 0.0001% of the entire population of human beings.
Bingo
on the planet. And the more east you go, the more the traditional societies are, and the more the male and female rigidity is enforced.
Shut up. My God. My head is exploding now.
The West is actually pretty loose about them. The idea that the male-female binary is a Western concept is just not factually accurate.
Okay, so stop there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about indigenous people who lived all over the world.
Yeah.
Until we had. So when you say the trouble with saying it's not Western is colonization did bring a lot of more fixed ideas. So I'm from
hold on. Talk about the colonization of the Mongols and the Genghis Khans and stuff. No, oh no, only the white people.
On a second, sorry, no, I'm not gonna.
We talk about the Muslim conquest of India or Muslim conquest of Spain. Nope, no. Stop it. It's only you evil white European type.
Not let that pass. Are you saying people in
and Christians,
the Duchy of Muscovy 2,000 years ago?
No. But I only just started the sentence. So I said, for example, colonization did export a lot of very Christian, quote unquote, Christian.
So why is that a problem?
For example, colonization did export a lot of very Christian, quote unquote, Christian.
What about the exportation of other religions by force? Spain, India, other places? No. Oh, no. That's perfectly fine because they're brown people.
Not necessarily Christian ideals around the world. So my example was, I think it's hard to talk about the whole globe, but my example was in Australia.
It's hard to talk about things that don't agree with my bullshit. Yes, ma'am. You are right.
You may know Australian Aboriginals have the idea of brother boys and sister girls, and they are genderqueer people. But of course, when, let's be honest, white Christian colonizers came and turned up, they said, that's not a thing and you're not allowed to do that.
Okay, what did the Islamic invaders of Spain, what did they have to say about any of this? What about the Mongol herds took over Europe? Anything? No. It's just the Christians who happen to be white.
And said that that's wrong, and there was a lot of shaming that's gone on. Now, that obviously has infiltrated into the Aboriginal population now.
Is that right? So is anyone preventing the Aboriginal population in Australia from being Aboriginal? I don't think so. As far as I know, maybe that's the case, but I don't think so.
There's still brother boys and there's still sister girls, but there's a lot.
Okay, well, that's fine. They can do that. They can do that all day. No one gives a shit. But when you take the Aboriginal population who is believing in sister girls or whatever the hell you just said, and you want to destroy the Western civilization because we don't agree with 0.00001% of the world's population. Are we getting somewhere?
A lot of homophobia in the Aboriginal population that didn't exist.
Well, okay.
Before it was imposed.
But you're not addressing my argument. My argument is not that there aren't Indigenous communities where these practices exist. My argument.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, is that's your belief system, great. Good for you and God bless. Or, whatever your deity happens to be. But some people want to impose that on the rest of the fucking world. I think that's obviously they don't like Christians. Because that Jesus stuff and everything.
The argument is that is by far and away a tiny minority of the global population of humans.
Probably like 10 people. Yeah. But go ahead.
I don't really understand how that matters, though, because it's still the archaic way people behave.
Okay, let me explain, please, Constantine. If we look at the ocean, the vast ocean of the world, right? 7 seas, oceans, bays, and shit. And the vast majority of blue whales are blue, but 0.00001% of them might be green. Can we see which one is the norm? Probably wouldn't be the green ones, would it?
99% of people do something, and 0.1% of people do something different.
Do you know why Indigenous populations are so small, though?
Yes, because Whitey killed them all. Yes.
Isn't it?
The point I'm trying to make to you is
just like every other conquering species in the fucking history of the world. But I bet Miss Glasses here is not going to tell us about any of those others. I think she's got a problem with Christianity. She don't love Jesus.
Why they're so small?
Hold on a second.
Do you know why they're so small?
You're deflecting from the argument that I'm making.
Really.
Yes, you are. The argument that I made to you is when you said this is a Western concept, I gave you examples.
Yeah.
For example, the Duchy of Muscovy or Russia 600 years ago.
So when I say Western, I'm speaking because that's where I'm having the arguments is in the West.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there are...
When you're speaking Western, it's because you hate Western civilization. You hate Christianity, you hate Judaism, you hate Islam, you hate everything that has to do with our winning, don't you? Tell us about the Islamic invasion of Spain. We're going to talk about that?
Are Eastern places too, but I'm talking about Western frameworks. It's unlikely I'm going to come in here in Kent and start talking about Far Eastern
I think
concepts.
Spell it with me. Red herring. Can you spell it? REDHERRING. Let's listen to it again.
But I'm talking about Western frameworks. It's unlikely I'm going to come in here in Kent and start talking about Far Eastern
I think
concepts.
I think
that's because you hate the West. This one's pretty simple. I don't know how much more we have to say.
You're mishearing what I'm saying.
Sorry.
You made the claim that outside of the West, in indigenous societies, these things are very normal. And the point I'm making to you is, while it may be the case in certain tiny communities that exist, hold on a second, that exist in certain tiny communities, bless you, Francis, outside of the West, there are also lots of other civilizations outside of the West where the gender binary that you were talking about as a Western concept is actually much more firmly enforced than it is in the West.
Maybe in the Islamic folks, they pretty much, I'm not going to talk about those.
In the Islamic civilization.
Oh no.
In the Chinese civilization, in Russia, all over the world, in South, pretty much everywhere. So bringing up tiny indigenous communities does not prove the case.
Okay, but indigenous communities tend to be, I think, it's more archaic. It's more what it was before we brought in all these religious frameworks.
Oh, religious frameworks. Which religion are you talking?
It's more archaic. It's more what it was before we brought in all these religious frameworks.
Why don't you just say Christianity? An evil white man.
It's more archaic. It's more what it was before we brought in all these religious frameworks. You're still talking about the Muslim world. You're still talking about an Abrahamic framework.
Okay, what about?
Yes, but you're not bitching about that, are you? No. It's only the Christians.
The Chinese.
I don't know. I haven't looked into the Chinese enough.
Well, maybe you should, because they had their own ideas. But no, the Mongols. No.
1.4 billion
people.
Okay. This argument absolutely kills me. So the indigenous cultures are more archaic and primitive, and they're a better reflection of what human culture really should be without all of this Christianity stuff. Yeah,
that Christianity, that's bad. So let's sacrifice some virgins, throw them in volcanoes. Why not?
You know what? I agree with her. I think we should all just go back to wearing leaves on our genitals and sacrificing virgins to the sun god.
Throw them in volcanoes.
Capturing prisoners of war and cutting out their hearts whilst they're still alive to feed the gods like the Aztecs did. Or maybe we should be implementing female genital mutilation as they were doing all across Africa. I'm sure she'd be really cool with that. Perhaps.
No. They're not Christians. You see the difference.
They were right about skull binding of infants' heads in indigenous American tribes. I wonder if she looked into sub-incision and tooth avulsion when she was doing her extensive research.
No. That'd be a no.
About Australian Aboriginal tribes, where they would use stone tools to split the boys' penises and knock out their teeth as an initiation into a tribe. Or the
that sounds good. God damn.
Best one that she would totally have to be down with would be slavery. Obviously, these ancient tribes provide a really thorough insight into the human condition and how things ought to be. So how about implementing war brides used as concubines or men used as forced labor if they aren't killed? At least this way, we wouldn't be confined by all of these stupid ideas like Christianity with the notions of human dignity and inherent human value and worth. All right.
But I mean, look at the evil Christians did all that stuff in the yes, they did. And so do current religions do the same thing. Not saying it's right that the early Christians did whatever they did, but come on now. Come on. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. Let's get back to the thing. Go.
Ideas like controlling the passions or abolishing slavery. We wouldn't be trapped in this Western civilization with all of its scientific advancements, cultural and artistic genius, literature, philosophy. Just strip that all away and take me back, guys. Now let's watch the manipulation and gaslighting go into full effect.
I think what
here we go. You guys ready? I told you it was coming.
I'm trying to look at, if you really look at what I'm saying, is that there are other frameworks that are perhaps more human, that are more,
what
that are
makes them
less
more human.
Well, they're less driven by control, by controlling regimes or controlling religions.
I get it, but I don't.
Controlling what? What are these people controlling? It's a fair question, ain't it?
They're less driven by control,
Control. Well,
controlling regimes or controlling religions.
I get it, but I don't think that makes them more human. If 99% of humans do A, it seems to me that A is more human.
You must know. You're a bright man.
I am.
You must know.
And here comes the insults, the ad hoc, the ad hominem.
Seems to me that A is more human.
You must know. You're a bright man.
I am.
You must know. You must know. You're a public intellectual. You must know that 99%, given the recent population boom of people under draconian governments, under draconian binary religious ideals.
Yes, but only Christians.
recent population boom of people under draconian governments, under draconian binary religious ideals, doesn't dwarf an indigenous culture that has been there. Australian Aboriginals are the oldest indigenous culture in the world.
Indigenous, not indigent. But go ahead.
Do you know why there's so few of them?
Yeah, we know.
We killed them.
Yes.
We committed a genocide.
Why were we able to do that? Why were we able to do that?
What are you implying?
I'm just asking you the question.
Are you implying because we're better?
No.
What are you implying?
We were technologically far more advanced. That's what I'm implying. What's not clear about that?
So you're saying...
I'm saying we were technologically more advanced. Would you
So you're saying we're
that?
superior to Australian Aboriginals?
That's quite the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm not saying we were superior. I'm saying we were technologically more advanced.
So how is that the opposite?
Superior implies a moral quality. I'm not making any moral implication. You seem to be, but what I'm saying is...
I think most people would hear it that way.
No.
Again, you're a very intelligent man. How would most people hear that?
Most people would hear what I'm saying for what I'm saying, which is...
Don't think they would.
Like the words he's saying. There's that.
Why? What's the point of this question then?
The point of this question is
because we came in with our better gendered binaries, and therefore we were able to kill them.
This is going to work a lot better if you just hear the point I'm making instead of getting...
I really cannot understand what it could possibly be other than we are better.
If you've been...
And here comes...
thinking about using turmeric for liver support...
Here comes the crazy.
The turmeric is oil soluble, which means it's not going to absorb in the lining of the gut very
well.
Well, let me explain it to you what it could possibly be. And
what's it got to do with the gender binary?
Your argument, we're just talking about the argument, and you seem to get quite heated about this, which is completely unnecessary. You think it's necessary?
I'm a bit stunned by what you're implying.
No, you're acting in a kind of passive aggressive way, which indicates that you're not happy.
I genuinely am being 100% authentic. My visceral reaction to a white man sitting and saying to me,
Excuse me.
Authentic. My visceral reaction to a white man sitting and saying to me, and why were we able to commit genocide on them?
Excuse me. Konstantin Kisin is not a white man. He is a Semitic man. He's a Jew. Don't like those either.
A white man sitting and saying to me, and why were we able to commit genocide on them? And then just pausing.
Yes.
Is very visceral to me.
Well, let's go back. First of all, it's interesting that you brought up my skin color because I thought that was the exact opposite of the point you're trying to make in the book.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, let's come back to the argument.
You haven't read my...
He's a Jewish guy. That's it.
Book, so you wouldn't know.
Apparently, these women and these people hate Jews as well. It's amazing.
What the point is.
You said that the point of your book is it's all about you can't say this as this person and whatever. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
You're very reductive. I thought you were a lot more intellectual than this.
I thought you were more intellectual than this. An ad hominem attack on the sly.
I think this is very revealing, but let's come back to the argument.
Goddamn right it is. Goddamn right it is.
The argument you were making was that the Aboriginal society and other indigenous societies, as you call them, were more human because whatever reason, and they were therefore models for emulation.
I don't think I said more human. I said there is something fundamentally...
You said more human. It's in the chat.
You said more human. Yeah.
About there's something fundamentally of how humans are before there's a whole heap of religious imposition and a whole heap of totalitarian imposition.
Only Christians, though. Only the Christians.
That's what I'm saying. I think we can learn a lot from indigenous societies. I don't think you can say there's fewer of them, therefore they don't count.
That's not what I said.
Nobody said that. But feel free to go ahead and tell yourself that that's what Constantine said.
When they were...
I didn't say they don't count. What I said is if 99% of a population, if 99% of pandas eat bamboo shoots, it's fair to say that eating bamboo shoots is the standard panda behavior. it's the more panda behavior than the 1% or the 0.1%.
Yeah, if 99.7% of the whales in the world who are blue whales are blue, that doesn't mean the 0.3% of them who are green get to run the fucking show. Pretty easy.
They eat dog turds for a living. I gave you 4 arguments in response to the things that you said.
And we've only really got to one.
Well, yes, because you got upset at me saying something about the Aboriginals.
But what were you meaning by that? What were you meaning by why were we able to?
I already told you what I meant by
commit
that.
Genocide.
We were technologically far more sophisticated.
And what's that got to do with it?
Well, if a civilization is able to produce things like penicillin and the ability for its
wait for this one, guys. Well, they don't need penicillin because the reason
children not to die in childbirth.
Oh my God.
I think that indicates that civilization has something positive about it. The fact that the Western civilization has created the incredible material benefits and also other benefits of every kind that we now enjoy says something.
Do you see the hamster wheel spinning up in the girl's head?
Thing about the utility of that civilization and that worldview, which is that it is very good for human beings, which is one of the reasons that millions of people travel, many of them risking their lives, from other parts of the world to our societies today.
Okay, so Aboriginals didn't need penicillin because they didn't have any of the diseases. So Aboriginals didn't need penicillin because they didn't have any of the diseases.
Oh, I mean, that's fair enough. They didn't have smallpox and all that. Anything else, though, that penicillin might be handy for? Anyone?
And they were living an incredibly brilliant nomadic life, so that what they would do is it would use a certain area, then they would move on, and then they would come back. So they didn't have any problems with holes in ozone layers, any problems with climate change, the incredible raging bushfires across across Australia right now. They didn't have that.
They didn't have any bushfires in Australia prior to when the white man got there. Okay. Oh, dear God.
So we brought in as more problems than we did solutions.
So just a complete fantasy, once again, glorifying ancient cultures, Aboriginal culture, saying that they don't need medicine. They did everything great.
They didn't need any of that goddamn penicillin. That's all a fantasy of you evil white Christian men.
It was perfect back then. They lived a wonderful life. Actually, they had an estimated infant mortality rate of 200 to 300 per 1,000 births.
So 30% of their little kids died. Yeah, we don't need any medicine.
Infections, malnutrition, and animal attacks. The life expectancy was between 30 and 40. They had no written language or industrial tools. Yes, they were excellent stewards of the land, especially in a very harsh Australian environment. But to glorify these cultures as a better representation of human culture than Western civilization, to me, just seems outrageous. I mean, no smoke to them, but I know which society I'd prefer to live in. And as an
well, that's because she hates Western civilization, especially white men and Christianity. It's pretty easy.
Australian, somebody who has a lot of Indigenous friends, I can tell you that the cultures that she's talking about still exist in the far reaches of the Australian outback.
Again, if you want to live like an Aboriginal or a native, go, hey, have fun. No problem.
So if
taking that and expressing that as you should do the same on 99.999% of the world, what the fuck is wrong with
she is so enamored of their culture, then she can go and live with them and go walkabouts in the outback, go out bush and live off the land. They have a great time doing it. I don't know how long she would last, but the option is there. Now on to the next part, which is about the far right, which is something that for me is very revealing.
You wouldn't say Elon Musk or Donald Trump were far right?
Definitely not.
They're literally cancelling everything. Anything. They're cancelling
everything. Really? Okay. What are they canceling?
Definitely not.
They're literally cancelling everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Do you have something? No.
Anything. They're destroying lives right now.
Perhaps we have a different definition of what far right is. What would you say? What's the definition of far right in your?
This might be fun.
What about them isn't far rightist? I would ask you.
But
that wasn't the question.
What about what they're doing isn't far right?
Yeah, I understand your question. In order to answer your question, we both have to agree on a definition of far right.
They've literally said they've taken.
Just pause for a moment. What is your definition of far right?
Mm-hmm. Think about it.
It's far further than fiscal conservatism.
Okay.
It is social conservatism that says there is one proper way to live, and that way is a heteronormative family, 2.4 children. Women should be having babies. This is all Heritage Foundation values. This is all Project 2025
right.
So, guys, a very
Anyway, I got to go eat some soup. There you go. Link in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. You guys, God bless. Take care. And Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Take care.